Welcome back into another episode of George in the Jungle, presented as always by Remington Tavern here in the Cincinnati Light Studios. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 Bourbon Whiskey Wednesdays, Bottle Cap Bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, be sure to grab an ice cold Cincy Light. They got it on tap. Help out the people who help out us. All right, moving on. We got Chad here starting off the show with us early. Not something we normally do. Chad likes his nights off when he can get them. But big news broke today that Jizzle James is no longer with the Cincinnati Bearcats. So we bring in the guy himself who is closest to the program here in our network. And it's been a day.
Network.
In any network. Appearing on this show, it's big news, baby.
Something like that.
Unfortunately, it is big news, and it sucks.
It is.
But
it does suck. Aaron and I just discussed this a lot on the nightcap earlier tonight. So there's also some details that are there, but I mean, there's nothing. I don't think that there was any other way around this. I think they tried to handle the situation as favorably and delicately for Jizzle as they could. They tried to get him help. They went out of their way to make sure that, this was done behind closed doors and didn't paint Jizzle in a bad light. But we're in the social media era. And unfortunately, he's created a lot of the situation that is upon us right now with nothing more than his Instagram posts and his activity on social media, and his erratic behavior kind of made this more of a story than it probably would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever time frame you want to look at. But, here we are. And unfortunately, his time with the University of Cincinnati is over. I know, Wes didn't come right out and say, that's it. Mainly because you kind of have to protect yourself in this day and age. There's HIPAA rules and HIPAA laws and, ways that you have to go about doing things, which I don't think is why you heard anything until today. Tried to give the situation as much grace as possible. Tried to help Jizzle get things back on track. But eventually you reach a breaking point. And when he's posting screenshots from teammates about their conversations and kind of taking shots at anybody that he can point the gun at, I mean, you left your coach with kind of figuratively. You left your coach with no other recourse than to make the decision that was made today. It sucks.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation. And, a guy like me sits here and I'm like, why in the hell do you put all that stuff out there? But that's all these kids know. I know better. I didn't do that when I was that age, nor was it second nature to do that. And a lot of these young people are living their lives online, damn near, it seems like to me. And that's unfortunate, because if this had been 10, 15 years ago, certainly if it had been back in my day, nobody would have known anything was going on except word of mouth, or if you go out and do something stupid in public. But these postings and all that, there comes a point, and I know Wes realizes this. I mean, the team has to come first, the good of the team. Now, you do everything you can for each individual. But when it starts, the help to the individual starts outweighing what's best for the team, you got to separate the two. And unfortunately, that's where this led to. And it's very unfortunate because, obviously the kid's got talent. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but everything I read about this dude when he was a freshman, he was always in the gym. He was a gym
Yeah.
rat. He was doing extra work. He was doing all these things. And it's like, this kid's got his head screwed on straight. But we know when it comes to drugs, alcohol, whatever else, and I don't know what all's going on here. Sometimes it can be mental health, but things happen and kids go off the rails and adults go off the rails. But you can't let that affect the big picture over here. And this was starting to. When he starts posting that stuff, and I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. I mean, but he's doing it, and it's affecting the pot of gold over here. You've got to protect that first and foremost, but you still do everything you can for the kid. And I honestly believe that UC did that. I believe West did that. I think they will continue to do what they can to help this kid right the ship and get back on track. But you can't do it to the detriment of the other 14 guys, 13 guys, whatever it is, that you have also made a commitment to, and try to get the best out of them and move the team on as a whole. It's very unfortunate. It's very sad. I really hope someone can reach him and get a handle on this. But unfortunately, over the past couple of days, it looked like it was going to come to this, and it was going to come to this quickly. And here we are. And you know more than me, Chad, and I hear stuff, and I'm hearing that, they've tried and, went as far as they could. And it's just, it's unfortunate, but that's where we are. And that's what happened. It's not the first time it's happened. It's not going to be the last, but you got to deal with it. And
Yeah,
for me, I'm glad UC dealt with it. And I'm glad they dealt with it the way they have. And I think they still will give grace and try to help this kid as much as they're able to. But, and you got to help yourself too. And sometimes young people, it spins out of control. And I feel like this spun way out of control.
Yeah, I mean, the crux of the issue here is, George, you have to genuinely, when you're in one of these situations, you have to genuinely want help. You have to genuinely want to get out on the other side of it. Because if you don't, you're going to be in, then you're out, then you're in, then you're out. Like, that's the nature of the beast of this thing when you're dealing with abuse, substance abuse, and whatever it may be. I don't know. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've never asked. It's not my business. I haven't, wanted to know the fine details. Just know he had a problem. There were times that he seemed like he was on track to get it fixed. But if you're not fully bought in, you're not fully going to get it fixed. And from what I heard, this stuff started in April, May, when he was back in Orlando. Got it situated, got it figured out, came back to Cincinnati and was good for, the first 6-7 weeks of the offseason program. And then things deteriorated very quickly.
And I can tell you that it eats the hell out of those coaches and probably some of those teammates too, that this happened and they couldn't do anything about it. Every family has been affected by this one way or the other, whether it's in family or friends, or families that have been affected by it. And it's awful. It's awful. And, you want to believe the kid, and you want them, when you hear them say what you want to hear, you want to believe it. But the next day that can change.
Yeah.
The cravings or whatever else it is can be so much that they fall off the wagon again. And it's just such a shame. It kills me to see people, waste opportunities like that. And he's young enough, he can still turn it around. I pray he does. But in this situation and what's going on and what what little we know, but it was enough publicly on social media, it's like, this ain't right, and this is affecting the team now, and that's got to be nipped in the bud.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. And you're talking about, I know didn't shoot it well last year. Certainly didn't shoot it well from three, but that's a leading scorer, leading minute guy, leading assist guy that is now gone. I think the team's going to be good still. I do. I think they went out and got some guys that are going to be able to cover this. But if you had a kid like him with that talent who stayed on track from last year to this year, he would have been an asset for this team. But given what we've seen and what little we know, tells me he wasn't going to be an asset for the team, especially in the short term.
Well, I mean, you can't miss a whole summer, and he's essentially missed a very large portion of the summer.
And you're talking about a whole new team, too. I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys back that he knows. These other guys don't even know him. Like, they're like
3.
Yeah, 3. Okay. So they're like, who is this guy? What the hell is this all about? And you can't have that. It's unfortunate, but you can't. So it's I was really hoping that this would not be the outcome, but I get it. And it's kind of, it's up to Jizzle to get his crap together, or, he's just going to be a footnote.
Yeah.
In any case, that leaves you at your guard position now with Day Thomas, Perkrisa, Keyshawn Tillery, the incoming freshman, and I guess Buck Harris, potentially at that 2-guard spot.
Well, I will say this, and maybe I'm nuts, but you give me those 4 going into the season, I feel pretty good about the guard position. I probably feel better than I did last year.
Chad, do you think that opens up a little bit more room for a potential Shanabayev slide to the 2?
No, I don't think he's a 2.
No.
I mean, I guess you could play him there if you had to.
I mean,
but I don't like moving guys up. You know that. I don't like moving guys up.
I only say that because I know you hate moving guys up. I get it. But I only say that because I don't think he can be worse than what Dan was at the 2.
Yeah, but we said all along I don't want Dan at the 2. I don't want to buy him at the 2 either.
I can't imagine he's dribbling the ball.
I agree.
I can't imagine he's turning the ball over every first possession, or just the numbskullery that we saw with Dan. I don't know that. I don't know that it's any worse. But I don't know. I still think. I guess if barring injury, I hope we probably won't see that. But you still have 4 viable options, I think, between those
3 of them have a lot of experience, and I really like that. I with Day and Krisa and Harris, I think that's a ton of experience that you have coming into that guard position, and hopefully. Tillery's one of those guys that just steps in and does it. Everything I'm hearing, that dude's the real deal. So does that mean, he's going to step in right away and be a stellar college point guard? That's hard to do, but
he's had a great summer. He's had a great summer.
I don't, team-wise, yes, you'd love to have the returning score and assist leader back, all that stuff, but not if he's, not going to be at the top of his game. And all indications are that wasn't going to happen. So I still feel good where they are. It's just so unfortunate. But we'll see.
Chad, I feel like I in some way manifested this because I told you I wanted everybody gone, and you can only bring back either Day or Jizzle. And here we are, only bringing back one, as I wanted everybody gone. I didn't want anybody coming back.
See what you did?
Yeah, you did. Who's next, Aaron?
Genuinely, I'm just trying to make light of a terrible situation.
Yeah, I know. All right. You guys have a good remainder of the show. And
thank you, Chad.
It sucks, man. It sucks.
Yeah,
I hate to see it.
It's so unfortunate.
All right. I don't know. I don't know I don't have any more on men's basketball. I don't know if you wanted to touch any more on the roster or the situation as is.
No, I you know what? Thank God they went out and got what they got in the portal.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts Wes in a bad situation too, because I mean, this was one that you sealed the deal on early on in your transfer portal process. Here's a question here in the chat, George. Could you see Day playing 30 minutes now? I know Wes doesn't like playing guys that much. I don't think that 25 to 28 is crazy for him, and you ease the freshman in. That said, I think that Kirk Risa is still an option at that point guard spot if he's not solely playing two.
Right.
So I think that
there's 25 or more, 25 a game or whatever last year. So
Day, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll get. I mean, if he's playing well, hell yeah. But we'll see, because there is some other talent that you want to work in, and Day's such a high energy guy, and he's flat out every play that 30 plus for him is asking a lot the way he plays, but I don't put anything past that guy, because he is like a dog with a bone, man. He works it.
Yeah, I guess you have to wonder what Keyshawn Tillery is going to be able to do as the season progresses, because he could be challenging for some of those minutes as well, and allowing Day to not just play the one, but also play the two and spell Kirk Risa. So Buck doesn't necessarily have to just play the two. He could also play the three. So there's a lot of different things you can still do with this roster as it's constructed currently.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty versatile at that guard position, really, where they can do some mixing and matching, and depending on who they're playing and what.
Matchup dependent, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of game. I mean, think about Day and Buck out there playing defense at the guard positions. I mean, that's two BITCHs right there. I mean, really, they get in your jock and they don't stop. And I love that. I want to see that kind of defense.
Well, I guess hopefully the drama at this point is behind us in the rear view, and Wes Miller and company can get things all the way on track for themselves without having to deal with anything else the rest of this offseason, and things are smooth sailing between now and end of October-ish.
Yeah, that was too much. I mean, Wes gets paid a lot to deal with drama, but that was a lot of drama. And I can't imagine what the heck he was going through internally, and trying to make this right, and then balancing what's best for the team, what's best for the kid. And these coaches, I know people think it's just all this basketball and but they're entrusted with these kids too. And I know I'm calling them kids and they're getting paid, but they're young people, and these coaches have quite an effect on them. And they feel terrible when this stuff happens. I mean, they feel like they failed a little bit. And that's tough. That's really tough. And I know Wes has probably really, really, really struggled through this whole thing. And I'm sure he did everything he could, and hopefully he feels he did everything he could, so he doesn't have that guilt factor. But you are still being charged with these young men and trying to shepherd them through, what are critical years in life. Because, I can say this now at my age. When I was a young parent, I'm like, if I get this kid, to 7th, 8th grade and they're on track, they're going to know right from wrong. No, those years from freshman in high school to graduating college, they're all important, and they all build on what, you're going to be down the road. And so it's a lot of trust that these coaches have from these parents with these kids going away to school. And it's just, it's got to be tough on that whole coaching staff to see this happen, because there's probably a little piece of them that feels like Could I have done more? Maybe you couldn't have. You hope you don't feel that way, but you're second guessing everything. And that's another part of this. It sucks for them.
Yeah, I hope that this is nothing that any of these programs here at Cincinnati have to deal with for a long time hereafter.
No.
Moving on out of the basketball realm and over across campus to Nippert Stadium. As look, we are 9 days away from kickoff at Arrowhead Stadium, and I'm excited. I'm super excited. That all said, this game against Nebraska, there's a lot of stakes, I think, for this season that go into this first game. And if you lose this game, it's not the end of your season. Certainly not, as it is the very first game of the season. But a win in Arrowhead amongst, 60, 70,000 Nebraska Cornhusker fans would go a long way. That said, College Football Insider named Scott Satterfield among the Big 12 coaches on the hot seat. I think his seat is probably closer to warm than hot right now. I do think that he needs to go bowling this season, but I guess I just kind of wanted to gauge where you feel the temperature is, George, as we get ever closer to this 2025 kickoff.
Well, here's the biggest cop-out frickin' answer you're going to get.
Here we go.
Well, it depends on the game. Do you get blown out? Do you look like crap? Did you make a lot of mistakes? Do we see some of the same things we've seen in the previous couple of years that creep into this that lead to a loss? Is there going to be some boneheaded play at the end of the game that blows it up? I don't know. I mean, if you play really well and both teams play really well and you lose on a field goal or something, it's not the end of the world. And the seat probably doesn't get scorching hot. It'll warm up a little because they've got it's kind of a crossroads. I mean, it's the first game of the season, but Nebraska's kind of in the same boat where if they lose this game, Matt Rule's like maybe not on the hottest seat of Satterfield if he loses, but
maybe.
Right. It's going to be big. So both teams have a lot going on. It's going to depend on how that game plays out. But I think, first of all, to me, going into the season, that seat's warm. I'm sorry, it is.
I agree.
All the things on paper look good. What Satterfield has done over the past year with retention of roster, what they got out of the portal. All this stuff looks great. And they seem like they've brought in some guys to fill gaps. The place kicker, for example, that looks like a hell of that looks like a hell of a pickup to me from what I've seen. And maybe they fix that. And if they had that fixed before, maybe they win a few more games and the seat's not so warm. But yeah, if they lose and do it in the same type of fashion we have seen over and over again, yeah, that seat's going to get hot. He's going to have plenty of time to correct it. But that's it. I don't know what to expect, Aaron. I don't know what to expect. And part of that is because of the last 2 years and what we've seen out of his teams and the way they've lost games. And if they lose another game like that in a high-profile situation like this game will be, I'm very concerned about the direction of this program under Satterfield.
Well, the other part of that you don't know is the fact that we're in the transfer portal era where we don't know what the continuity really looks like because you're missing about a quarter of your team that you wouldn't normally be missing as far as that continuity goes. So, and that's for everybody. It's obviously not.
That's what makes like spring ball and fall practice so important now. Like it was always important, but now you're mixing in all these upperclassmen into a roster and everyone's getting used to each other and all that. And it's kind of like whoever can do that the best now, make these parts fit and get it oiled up and ready to go earlier, that's where it's at now. It's yes, there's still development, thank God, in football. It seems like we're losing that in basketball quickly. But in football, there's still development and all that. But still, you're mixing in. I mean, they're mixing in a whole new wide receiver room, basically.
Yeah. Secondary as well.
Correct.
Think about it. I mean, the guys that you're bringing back on secondary, you got Logan Wilson, although he made a position change. Kai Stokes also made a position change.
Yep.
Antoine Peak, Jaquan Sanks. But I mean, outside of that might be it on the entire secondary.
Right.
Or Monty Arnold, but I believe he's dinged up. So yeah, the rest is underclassmen and transfers. So it's a lot. I don't know. It's.
I will say I feel fairly positive, and I do, because I think the vibe has been good. I think the leadership on the team is good. They have really good veteran leadership that has been here a few years, and that's a quality you can't just snap your fingers and get. It's built up, and when you have guys like the Godfather and the center and guys that have been around,
Kevin Gerhardt
can lead. Yes, they can lead by example, and I love the setup with their players council and the way they do that, and guys are accountable to another player, and those guys the head of that faction doesn't want things to go south, so they're holding each other accountable, and that's great. That's a good way to build this, and I feel really good about the vibes. Ask me at halftime in Kansas City how I feel. I may have another answer, but I don't think I will. I feel pretty good about what they're building here. It's just Satterfield's seat is going to be warm, if not hot, until he starts stacking some wins.
Well, if they do lose in embarrassing fashion, I can only imagine what that home field is going to look like. The home crowd is going to look like at Nippert Stadium when Bowling Green comes to town the following week.
Yeah, I'll be there, but
same.
I'll probably be sitting there with not a great feeling, but one loss won't define the season. But yes, you have to throw a good product out there and look like you know what you're doing. I'm convinced they will. I really am. I think they're moving in the right direction, but you have to have the results.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Brendan Sorsby was named to the Manning Award watch list, also named to the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award watch list. Brendan Sorsby is looked at as a very good returning quarterback. I believe he's top 10, maybe comes in at number 10 on returning quarterbacks, not a transfer in the nation. He had the last 5 games of the season, the back half of the season, he didn't look great.
No,
Brendan Sorsby would probably tell you that if you got him where he wasn't having to give quarterback speak in front of a podium, he'd probably tell you I was not good. That said, he is high on a lot of these watch lists, or at least on the watch lists. He's high on a lot of people's radars as far as the tangibles that an NFL team would look for. You got to be excited about Brendan Sorsby coming back and what he can bring, at least in the first half of the season. The big question mark is going to be, can he carry that out through the entirety of the season?
Yeah, and part of the problem was people figured them out fairly quickly last season, in that they're not going to rip the top off your defense, so you just press up. And they took Royer away, and he still had a great year, but you were able to take some things away from that offense that put Sorsby in a bad situation where he almost had to be perfect at times because things were so stacked up on the line. I mean, it was, you didn't have to worry about the deep ball very much with this team last year. That's going to change. I'll tell you what, if I'm calling the first play against Nebraska, I'm sending a couple of those guys deep and I'm letting it frickin' fly. And I'm going to rip the top off that thing as soon as I can. And I think they have guys to do it. It's going to be fair. It would be, you wouldn't want me calling plays. I'm just telling you that right now because I'm greedy. I'm probably more from the Brian Kelly school where I just go for it. But I think it's going to be a different animal this year because they do have some guys that can get deep. They have some guys that can make dudes miss in the open field at wide receiver and running back for that matter. I think it's going to be a little different animal. So I'm pretty excited about that. Sorsby, yes, he struggled down the stretch, but a lot of it was who the hell's he going to throw it to? Everybody was covered. Everybody was covered, and he's trying to make a decision, and that's such a hard position to play. And when things are locked up like that, you're screwed. And I felt like he was screwed, and when he made the mistakes, he was trying to do too much. And I understand that. And, you know, he was still a young quarterback last year, and he's learning that. And I think there's been a lot of growth between the ears, and I think there's been a lot of growth physically with him because he's been healthy and able to do some of the things to get ready for the season that, you know, when he came from Indiana and was nursing some stuff that he wasn't able to go quite balls out like he's been able to do here. And you saw that body transformation and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm buying on him.
Well, Brendan Sorsby is going to be a major factor in can Scott Satterfield turn around an 8-16 record here at Cincinnati. So,
well, when you look at Satterfield's quarterbacks when he was successful at Appalachian State and what I mean, this kid's built for him. He's built for him, and that has me excited too. I think Satterfield's got a guy that can do the things he loves out of that position, and you know, hopefully I'm not blowing too much happy smoke here, but I feel pretty good about that. Hopefully 2 weeks from now, I'm not sitting here going, I was wrong again.
I agree. Time will tell. Time will tell. That's that we have 9 days
to see that game.
I'm
so
more
fired up for that game.
9 more sleeps. 9 more sleeps, unless you're George and you take an afternoon nap sometimes. But 9 more sleeps for all of us waiting for this kickoff.
Yeah, it might be 12, maybe 18 sleeps.
In any case, we will see. Switching topics again. George, your Cincinnati Reds. They're making some magic happen here in August, and I don't know how they're doing it. I got to be completely honest. I don't know how they're doing it. Before we get into what's been going on, the biggest surprise of the week probably was Jake Fraley being DFA'd. Blew my mind. This comes a day after he hyperextends his knee, trying to make a catch, and botches an outfield play. He was never known for his glove, let's be honest. And here he is, putting it all out there. This comes the same season that he himself admits out loud that he had a cortisone shot to try and even make it through the season, did whatever he could for this team. It sounds like, if I'm reading the tea leaves, reading between the lines here, it sounds like he was a little upset that he hadn't been getting a whole lot of plate appearances. I think he had, 2 in the last several days, a week. He did not have a whole lot of appearances in games at all in the last week. So you kind of put all these things together, and it sounds like the Reds did what they felt was good for the player as they're trying to potentially give him a spot to land somewhere before the season ends. Turns out today, as it was announced, that the Atlanta Braves pick up his contract and claim him off waivers. So here we are with Jake Fraley, no longer here, down in Atlanta, and I'm flabbergasted. I hope it's not just we wanted to cut some salary again, because that's what we do here with Banana Bob. But here we are.
Yeah, this smacks. This hits me like. First of all, I was shocked too. I thought, okay, they could have stuffed him on the injured list, right?
Sure.
This sounds like almost like a bad marriage situation where this guy, and you're the social media dude, not me, but somebody told me his dad was popping off a lot, that he wasn't playing enough and all this, and all this on. So that could have been in Jake's head too, and it could be a situation where it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're lucky we're playing you when we are. You're lucky you're being here, getting a major league salary, and in the major leagues, and we're trying to give you a chance. I don't know. I think there was some frustration here from the ball club with him in some regard, where maybe he was grumbling about playing time, because it made no sense to DFA him when you could have. I mean, he had that hyperextended knee on that play the night before, and it's like sliding.
Put him on the IL.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. And so that shocked me. I'm when somebody called me and told me, and I'm like, are you sure he's not on the injured list? No, they DFA'd. I'm like, what? Like, that made no sense to me, unless there had to be some stuff going on behind the scenes, some friction. And the Reds are like, we've had enough, for God's sakes. There's only pretty much one position you can put him in. Well, DH too, but right field. He and Benson, it's kind of almost like the same guy, but Benson gives you more defensively and can play
athletically
outfield positions. Right. And so I think that's what it was. I think they grew weary of, and I don't know this, but it just smacks of them being wary of hearing some bitching or something. And it's like, enough is enough, dude. You're, hitting what you're hitting.
When Tito talks about how difficult it was to do it, and talks about him being the leader that he was, both in the clubhouse and on the field, Tito's a straight shooter from everything that I've gathered. So for him to come out and say this, you don't feel like it was Tito's call that he was grumbling in the clubhouse. I wouldn't think. Maybe
I don't know.
It sounds like a front office move more than anything to me.
Well, if that's the case, then that was probably money related, but that makes no sense at this point when you're in August. You've got to have the best guys on the roster that you think are going to win you games. And I just can't believe the front office would do that. And maybe Tito was being kind, but and Fraley never struck me as that kind of guy, ever. I never even thought about that until this move happened. I'm like, what the hell is up with this? But let's face it, it's not like they cut an all-star.
The only other correct. But the only other thing that I could wrap my mind around is maybe you are clearing up a roster spot on your 40-man to be able to move up Sal Stewart, who is destroying AAA. They even today, I don't know if you saw the roster today for the Bats, the Louisville Bats lineup. He's at first base. His first time being tried at first base. And we've talked about that now for a couple of weeks. Anytime we've brought up Sal Stewart is you got to find a place for this guy, because Brian Hayes, we saw what he did last night. My God, that dude is amazing at third base. I will forever forget about what he did letting a ball go into left field in his very first game. If he continues to make plays like this once or twice a game, holy shit. But yeah, if you're trying to clear a roster spot, now if you're doing it for Jake Fraley instead of, Connor Joe, who's still in AAA that you don't need, he doesn't have a spot here up at the big league level. Right. I don't know. I still go back to, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why you would cut ties with Jake Fraley over Connor Joe why he's still on the roster evades me.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Yes, Connor Joe or Jake Fraley, yeah. But, yeah, the Sal Stewart thing is very interesting because he's pushing his way to this big club and probably should be here tomorrow. And Andujar played first base tonight. He was in the Steer got a night off. That's who they put at first base, and I don't know how many games he's played at first base in his career. It's the first with the
I don't care. None of it matters to me. Andujar is literally since he's been here, 2 days ago, the Reds they all wore NFL jerseys. I think it was Sunday. They had pictures in NFL jerseys. That dude already was dripped out head to toe in Bengals gear. He is ready to be here in Cincinnati. It doesn't matter. Put him where you need to put him. He doesn't care. He's going to smack the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, if he keeps hitting like this, and he won't, but I hope he's close to this. I mean, he's been quite a revelation. Almost like a renewed spirit, I guess, since he got traded here and has found something. He's been fantastic. And so they got to keep that bat in there somehow. But and back to Hayes, because I was a little weird about that trade. I'm like, okay, I like the defensive upgrade, but I didn't know this kid was that good. He's made several play, and I started thinking, I'm like, when is the last time the Reds had a third baseman? It was Scott Rowland, probably.
Scott Rowland, yeah,
that could make those plays. I mean, Suarez was acceptable there, but he didn't make these freaking crazy plays that Ke'Bryan Hayes has made over there, and he's hit well enough but you still need that power at those corner positions. And they're still lacking there. But I thought, okay, you get Hayes. Maybe they're building something to trade him and have Stewart there next year, and they'll package Hayes in the offseason. I don't know if I want that now when I see that defense.
It's absurd.
He's made some incredible plays at incredible times for this team already. And who knows, maybe he's just on a heater for the past couple of weeks, but I'll tell you what, I can get used to that in a hurry. So, it's a crazy team. This season's been crazy. They can't beat the people in the division they need to beat. That series against Milwaukee could have been a sweep, and they almost got swept. They blew Friday night's game like crazy. Kind of blew Saturday night's game. They had the lead in the ninth inning, for God's sakes. And then Sunday comes along, and the same crap happens. And that could have been devastating, Aaron, if they had lost Sunday. To come back and win that, and it's not devastating because you lost 3 games. It's how you lost 3 games to your division leader. So if they could figure out a way how to win more games in the division, it'd make it a lot easier on them. But it's a crazy team, and here we are in mid-August, and these guys are still hanging around and still have a viable chance to make the postseason. And I still think in the years to come, the best is yet to come. I mean, you got Ellie De La Cruz, who's dealing with apparently a thigh injury that, nobody seemed to know about publicly, but that explains why he hasn't been running. That explains why his extra base power is now not what it's been since we've seen him. So obviously this quad injury has been a problem for him. But I do feel like I'm kind of liking where this team's going. Their starting pitching has been fantastic. If you look, they're like, I looked this up earlier. I want to say and this is just earned run average, but earned run average, like 6th in Major League Baseball, American and National League, for their starters, and that's kind of your most expensive position. Well, we know the Reds don't pay like the Dodgers, but their starting rotation is out of this world. I mean, Singer gave them a good game last night. Like 4 of his last 5 outings have been great.
And you just got back Hunter Green tonight. I just watched. He just got he had runners on first and second in the bottom of the first. He's given up a run. It was not earned. I don't know how that happened. I didn't have it on yet. But he just got out of a little bit of a jam with a strikeout. They missed the strikeout on strike 3 once, went back to the same place, got it again. But he's hitting 100 already tonight in his first game back in the first inning. So
second game back, right? Didn't he pitch last Wednesday?
Did he? I thought this was his first one back. In any case, either way, good to have him back.
Yeah, and he looked good in the other one. Yes, it's great to have him back. And I just, how I'm a nut for those playoff odds. Oddly enough, given what happened against Milwaukee and all that, they've gone from, and there's a lot of factors in this, but now they went from like 9.9 to 16 something in percent to make the playoffs. I don't put it past them to make it. This has been one of the more frustrating yet fun seasons that they've put together, and the fact that they're still hanging in there. It's a gritty team, and that starts at the top with the manager in my book. That I just think he's set a tone, and we're seeing it go in the right direction. Like
You're right, by the way.
Team, I like where they're headed.
You're right, by the way. He did pitch Wednesday last week in the 8-0 win over the Phillies.
Yeah, I was going to go to that game, and then it got rain delayed, and it's like, well, I haven't bought a ticket yet, so I'm going to skip this. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, damn, I wish I'd gone to that game. I love watching that kid pitch. I like watching him. I like watching Lodolo. I like watching I guess I like the guys who can bring it too. I like watching Chase Burns, although obviously I don't know if he'll be back this year. I don't know. They said it's not serious. I hope he's back, but they're somehow the most expensive position in baseball. The Reds are loaded there.
Yep. They are currently 13.5 back on Milwaukee in the division, good for third place. They are 5.5 behind Chicago in the division. Then right now their playoff chances, you talked about 16%. They actually stand at 18.4%, edging ever closer to 20%.
Yes. Well, hopefully it's 100% when we get to late September.
But right now they are a game and a half back on the Mets, who have started to turn things around for themselves a little bit. We're not rooting for that, obviously.
No.
But
this road trip's big too, because
sure,
the Dodgers in there at the end. Well, they got the Angels now, then the Diamondbacks. So those are two sub 500 teams. Then you got to roll in the Dodger Stadium and face those guys again, and they have fared well, but we'll see. But if they can get through this road trip without losing an arm and a leg, they're going to be right there.
And traditionally, West Coast road trips have not been kind to the Cincinnati Reds over the course of my entire life, I feel like. And
I'm feeling like it's that way against the Brewers now, too. God, do they play them again? I'm sure they probably do, but God, I could do without it.
That is their
so bad against them.
That is their last series of September, actually, the Brewers.
Well,
but they do close out the month with a homestand against the Cardinals. So you start to get some of that division rivals back at the end of the month and into September.
Yeah, they play better in the division, and I'm not sure what their division record is, but it just feels like it's awful. And I could be wrong, but it seems like Pittsburgh and
your
the
boy
they struggle against. It just
George, your boy Noel V. Marte ties up the game. Let's go.
I'll tell you what, he's been mashing too. Since that move to right field, he's been unconscious.
I believe that makes a 10-game hit streak for him. Something crazy.
He had a big hit last night, if I remember correctly.
I have it bookmarked here.
I
thought I had it bookmarked.
He's had a lot of big hits. He had that big home run in that Sunday game.
I don't know. I thought I had it bookmarked, and apparently I didn't. In any case, good on him for tying up the game. Love to see it. But yeah, he's been phenomenal out there.
Yeah, he's been mashing.
Right field.
Gotta love it.
We'll switch topics real quick here because we got a lot to get through here in our little show. But the Cincinnati Bengals, they played a game last night.
Yes, they did.
And they won 31-17. What were your main takeaways? Because I know, first off, I don't know what the hell Joe Burrow was doing in that game. Without
Hey, I'm glad you're talking about that because that was funny.
Without Chase and Higgins in the game, didn't make a lick of sense to me. Why your starting quarterback is in when your starting receivers are not in is beyond me.
Well, the official line is that he wanted to get some work with some guys that he doesn't, in case there's some issues with, like he said, Jamar's missed some games, T's missed some games, and he wants to get some work in with some of the other guys. And I get that.
Throw the ball away. Do not try and dance around back there in a preseason game. Throw the ball away.
After that first sack, the one back on the 2, and that was in the drive without the other guys, the starting receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have pulled the plug then myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what Joe told Zach to leave him in the game for that, but that horse collar thing could have been
devastating. Yeah.
And these are
Lucas Patrick out there waving his arms around. No idea what he's doing out there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they get that fixed. I was a believer in him, but I think I may have been wrong.
PFF graded him as a 72 last night.
They did?
They did. I shocked. I was
am
shocked,
too.
George.
I'm totally shocked by that.
Money talks.
Yeah, it does. It does. But maybe they'll fix that if they get this dude from Minnesota.
Dalton Risner. I've been beating the Dalton Risner drum since right after the draft.
Yeah.
April.
And that's but back to Joe being in there, I mean, what worries me is the offensive line didn't really look great at that stage in pass protection. And the other line didn't look good in stopping the run. I mean, that was ridiculous what happened. So, but leaving Joe in there, I don't know if I would have run him back out there for another series like the Bengals did. And who knows? You know how Joe is. He probably told Zach he wanted to be in. I don't know. They didn't say that after the game. But I think after that first sack, I would have been done with Burrow being in the game. Because we know how this season's going to play out. It's offense or bust. It's Burrow or bust. Especially when you see your defense. And I had a bad name for it last night, and I'm not going to repeat it here. But my friends laughed about the Al Golden defense. But that defense was pretty much just, peeing all over itself. So I don't know, Aaron. I don't know what to make of it, but we'll back up here to Burrow being in or out of the game. I guess I would have pulled him after that. And like Jason Kelsey said at halftime, sometimes you have to protect the guy from himself. If he is wanting to stay in the game you got to be like, no, dude, we're not throwing you back out there after that first sack, especially with guys that you don't normally play with. So, yeah, that's an issue. But Burrow looked great. That throw he made in the end zone to Charlie Jones was as good as you're going to get. The placement was unbelievable. So there's positives, but the negative, that first team defense, what could they stop on the ground?
Nothing.
Those runs, and I wrote it down, those first 2 drives.
I think it was 72 yards on 4 plays.
Yeah, Washington's first drive, they had a 19-yard run, a 40-yard run, a 1-yard run, okay, then a 14-yard run, which was a touchdown by Daniels. Second drive, a 5-yard run, a 12-yard pass, a 27-yard run. And it's just like they couldn't stop anything. Now, you heard the coaches and you heard Zach. Oh, we've seen them in practice, what they do. We don't show everything, all this. But at least show a pulse. I'm not asking you to get tackles in the backfield every down, but show you can stop something. So I'm really concerned. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm really concerned about that. I did think there were some positives. The 4th and goal, and Chase Brown gets in, and there was just enough of a surge, and then he had just enough leg power because that ball did not break the plane by much. But that was good. I thought Taj Brooks was pretty good again. I think they're pretty set at running back with Brown, Brooks, and damn it, the veteran, Pirine. So I think they're set there. But wide receiver, obviously set there. Mitch Tinsley was unbelievable.
Crazy good.
What do you make of that? Like, is this dude that good? Did he just have a moment? They've kind of been singing his praises in camp.
Joe's high on him when he's talked about him. He's very high on him, says that he enjoys working with him. That said, you can do it once and it's a moment. You do it twice and now we got to start taking you a little more seriously.
Yeah, well,
regardless, the only
great catches. I mean, the one out in the field was great, and then the back shoulder touchdown thing, the body control was ridiculous. And then the body control on the one at the back of the end zone with the toe tap, that was absurd. I mean, that was Pro Bowl caliber play.
You got to think his ceiling right now on this team, though, is probably 4th best receiver. And floor would be just coming in with a roster spot at the 6th best.
Right.
That said, I think taking over Charlie Jones' position as I think he's better than Charlie Jones.
Charlie that ball Burrow threw was a dime, but that was still a good catch in traffic.
It was an amazing play. I think it was amazing because of Joe Burrow, not because of Charlie Jones. But
yeah, the throw was probably better than the catch, but they were both pretty impressive. But that'll work. That's a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
That you've got guys that are producing as backups. I thought that, that was really good. And that was like a total coming out party, even though he's played well in camp. But that was just incredible what Tinsley did. But yeah, the defense was terrible, stopping the run in the first 2 drives, and it makes you wonder what the hell's going on there. We're going to see, because if that's what they're going to be throwing out there, they're going to be in the same position they were last year, which brings us to the Hendrickson situation. Like, when your defense is starving for playmakers and your biggest playmaker is there, not dressed, because he doesn't have the new contract.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to bite the bullet here. I mean, that report came out that they're talking trade again and all that. What are you going to get now?
They're not.
Saw these silly things. The Cowboys are not trading Micah Parsons here for trading.
Well, I don't think the Cowboys are trading Micah Parsons, period.
I don't either.
That's a whole different conversation. But the Bengals aren't trading Trey Hendrickson either. This is all part of the game. This is what you do when this is what they did. They've already tried this part of the game, and you lost. You didn't do it. You played the game earlier. You were asking entirely too much, and you knew that, which is why you did it. It is what it is. It's all part of it. You're fielding calls. You're listening. But you're not really listening. You're just on the phone. You're probably playing a game on your phone while you're having the conversation because you're not really listening. You're just there to tell them later on, yeah, we had the conversation. This is part of negotiations. You
Well, and
want
I think the Monday night crew was right too when it's like you went out and you paid for these receivers. You already paid Burrow.
You still have $30 million. George, you still have $30 million in cap space for this season.
Right. I know. What are you doing? Because basically you've gone all in on one side of the ball. You got to do something for the other side. And I'm sorry, they're going to have to get this thing done. And, you know, if that means Mike's got to drive Illumina for 2 more years and he drives Illumina for 2
Well, I don't even want to see him stop at Trey Hendrickson. I want to see them bring in Justin Simmons at safety, especially when I see a play last night where the Washington Commanders are not pulling up when they're going after Joe Burrow the whole game. And it looked to me like Battle pulled up when he had a clean shot on Jaden Daniels as Jaden Daniels scampers into the end zone. Right. I understand it's preseason, and you know what? Hat tip to you if you thought you were doing a good thing. That's all fine. Even say it after the game. I didn't hit him because it's preseason. I don't want to take out QB1. My spot's good. I was trying to do a service. I could have leveled him. I didn't. You can talk like that. I would have been fine with that, admitting that's what you did. But here we are in a situation where, again, the Commanders aren't holding up on Joe Burrow. And what are you doing? Especially when you're just giving up gash play after gash play the entire game on defense.
And yes, and it is a preseason game, but I'm sorry. When you're out there and you're playing, you got to be ready to level the guy because it's coming upon him to slide, right?
It at least would have made down. It at least would have made sense, though, if he came out after the game and said, that's what I did.
Right. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't football.
I agree. But that said, I want them to go out and get Justin Simmons because I still don't feel great about this safety position. And he's a guy who I think could come in and immediately make that room better. So did it already with Dalton Risner. I'm with everybody else who's on Bengals Twitter saying that Justin Simmons is a guy that this team should go out and at least kick tires on.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens with Risner. He came in today for his visit. He is apparently still going to go visit Seattle. He said he wants to weigh his options and potentially visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't want to see that happen, especially when the need at guard is a guy that Dalton Risner could come in and immediately help. Sounds like he wants to, from what I'm reading, it sounds like he wants to be a starter wherever he lands. That sounds like something that Cincinnati can offer that I don't know that Seattle and Pittsburgh will also be able to offer.
Yeah, no, I would think he would slide right in. I think I read, and maybe it was today, that he was like rated number 22 overall in the league at guard by Pro Football Focus last year, which isn't the be-all, end-all, but that's...
Well, he's good at pass blocking, not so great at run blocking, so you take the good with the bad. I think that it's probably a little bit more important to protect Joe Burrow than to protect Chase Brown, if you're asking me. So that's where I'm at on this. Also, everything that I've seen from Lucas Patrick is not a guy who, I don't know, like Dalton Risner, who I believe has only given up 2, 3, 4 sacks in the last 2 seasons, something crazy low.
Yeah, they need to get that one done, but they need to get a couple other things done too, and here we are.
We'll see. That it's just unfortunate that every time the Bengals have a situation where they could get out of their own way and come out looking great, we're back talking about the same old Bengals. You go back to the beginning of the offseason when you talk about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, both deals could have been done literally years before they were done, and you end up paying a little bit more because you just drug your feet. Trey Hendrickson, you've already talked about it in this very show. He was staring at you in the game of chicken last season inadvertently because he didn't even know he couldn't do it last season, right. But you knew the writing was on the wall. You knew this was coming. So prepare and have those conversations. Start them then anyway. So you're prepared for when you enter this offseason and you can just get the deal done out of the way before those other big deals come crashing down. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt and whatever other deals have been done that I can't remember in this very moment off the top of my head this offseason, but you could have done them before any of those deals were done. And here we are, August 19th, still wondering when this deal is going to get done.
Yeah, they're saying like, it's just the guaranteed money is what they're apart on now. I'd love to know how far apart. And I mean, it's.
I wouldn't. I think it would make. I think it would make me more mad
if you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's that close, then I would be mad too. You got to get it done. I mean, what are they doing?
What are they doing? Last topic here before we get out of here. FC Cincinnati winners in Portland 3-2 on Saturday. That, George, puts them tied back atop the table. Or actually, no, they're at the very top.
At the top. Yes.
I thought they were tied. They are 1 point up on Philadelphia, 52-51. The other big news, really quick, just to touch on it before you give your thoughts. They did lock down one of their own today, as I want to make sure I get the name right. Center back Miles Robinson agreed to a new long-term contract, extending him through 27 with an option in 28. He was going to be a free agent, I guess, at the end of this winter. So here we are now with FC Cincinnati continuing to be the only team in the city who makes the right moves at the right time and stays atop the league because they do that. Weird.
Yeah, they're proactive. I mean, they go out, Brennan takes off, they go out and get Evander, and then Evander goes back to Portland this weekend and has a hell of a game. He kind of figured in almost every goal in certain ways, and had the last one. So yeah, they are proactive. I give them a lot of credit for that. That's why they're in the position they're in, and being at the top of the standings. I think they play home this Saturday against New York City, who is down there somewhere, middle of the pack in the conference. So they should be favored. They should win at home. They just continue to sail along. And, they had a little bit of stretch there where things got wonky. But I think, I don't want to make excuses, but when you're like playing MLS matches and then mixing in that Leagues Cup and all this stuff, shit gets, wonky. It looks like they're back on track. That was a good win for them the other night on the road. And Evander going back to his former team and pretty much haunting them.
Well, FC Cincinnati does take on New York City FC this Saturday. They are favored -110 to NYC's +260 with the draw at +280. So something to keep an eye on this weekend as they could continue to build that lead. If you're still with us, we did talk about Jizzle James at the beginning of this show. You can go back to the beginning and hear all of that. We had Chad on with us, or you can go check out the nightcap as Chad and I talked at length about Jizzle and all of that situation. But unless you got anything else, I know high school football is right around the corner, George.
Starting this week, and there are games plus this weekend.
What you got your eye on?
Oh, my God. Well, you got the usual suspects in Ohio that are going to be very good this year when you're talking Moeller, St. X, Dakota West, Princeton, Anderson, Winton Woods. All those teams are going to be good again. And this week, Cooper, which might be the top team in Northern Kentucky, goes to Anderson to play. And I talked to the head coach at Cooper a few weeks ago. It's like, you're starting at Anderson. Like, could you find what? The frickin' Chiefs weren't available. I mean, what are you doing here? No, they start. Cooper starts with Anderson. Then they have Highlands, and then they have Ryle. That's probably I wonder if there's a team in Kentucky starts tougher than what Cooper's going to start this year. And then you've got in Ohio, you've got Oh my God, there's some great games this week. You got Lakota West playing St. X, that usual thing, and Princeton at Moeller. So and Anderson hosting Cooper. So it gets started this Friday and Saturday, and it's going to be these teams that are good. They ain't fooling around, and that's the beauty of. I don't necessarily think Ohio. I don't know if there's like 16 real playoff teams in each division in Ohio, but that's how they do it now. But the beauty of that is these guys will absorb a loss or two along the way to make their team better. So you get regular season games like this that don't knock you out of the playoffs. When it was 8 teams, you had to be cognizant of that. You don't want to play all freaking tough games because you take too many losses. You can't get back in, but now you can. And so that's why we see these regular season games and I give it to these coaches. They're not afraid. They go play. I love it.
Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to those updates every week now that the season is basically upon us. So unless you got anything left before we sign off here, George.
I'm out.
All right.
Thanks to all of
yes, it's still tied 1-1. But thanks to everybody who joined us here live. Thanks to everybody who listens to us later on. But thanks as always to Remington Tavern and Cincy Light for sponsoring us. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140. Where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, grab an ice cold Cincy Light on tap. But for George Vogel, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 9 p.m. to discuss all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron.